From our Durban studios, we're joined by Bheke Stofile. He's the national chairperson of the South African Local Government Association's working group on governance. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Stofile, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Mama Palisa and your listeners.
Thank you so much for your time. Now, here on the SABC News channel since this morning, we've been going to the different parts of the country, the different provinces, looking into the state of municipalities in the country. And I think there's an overwhelming view that people are actually feeling very let down by municipalities. Your reaction to this criticism is, Salga?
The first thing that I wish to start with, Mepalisa, is that you will recall that in 1998, South Africa adopted a white paper on local government. And the white paper on local government made an assumption that local government will be able to collect over 80% and over 10 or 15% will come from national government. And down the line, it has been proven that the assumptions made at that point were not realistic and they are facing challenges today. That's one issue. The second issue is that in terms of the expectation of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa is expecting that three spheres of government must work together cooperatively and make sure that they do render services to communities and communities that are expecting municipalities to render service. The other issue, Mepalisa, yes, I've been listening to your program during the day with various municipalities throughout the country, and many of them complaining about water, complaining about electricity, and many other things. As you know, when we took over 1994, the system at that time propelled and rendered service to a small community. Over a period of time after 1994, the community began to grow and the needs began to be more. And at the same time, you experience challenges of unemployment, poverty, and hunger in various communities. And that is why the National Executive Committee of Salga in the recent past, on the 7th to be precisely, we resolved that it will be prudent enough for us to call to our member municipalities to begin to institute their credit control system and ask to government to pay what is due to municipalities and ask to business to pay what is due to municipalities. As you know, as my last point, rendering service to communities, you had to spend money to buy and purchase that, and you had to sell it to somebody, and that somebody must pay you. And in that process, you will then be able to pay what is due to others.
All right. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time, and I would really love to touch on a number of issues before I let you go, Stofile. So I hear you. You speak about municipalities that are being owed by government departments and different companies. But some people are of the view that the problems have some political origins in them, and which, in a way, they sort of get into the way of the provision of services. So what do you think about cadre deployment? Do you think that is where the problem is?
To me, it's not really about that challenge. The first challenge that as a nation we must confront is our ability to work cooperatively and encourage everyone to be able to pay what is delivered to him or her. And if you listen to what I'm saying if it's not a culture of non-payment, it's something that somebody must think, what is it? For the fact that it affects the business, it affects the government, it affects the households. And it has a history. And that is why, as Salga, we are saying, it requires cooperative way of dealing with it. Political parties must play their work and call to their citizens and households to pay what is due.
All right, so
and government, so that the municipalities can be able to pay.
Let's take for an example the Malutia Profeng municipality in the Eastern Free State, where we are broadcasting live from this afternoon as well. The community members there have been without clean drinking water for years. The issue of provision of electricity, which simply just goes away when it starts to rain in the area, it is not a new thing. So why so many years later, we are still sitting here and discussing the problems that we have been sitting? And I think you would agree with me that we've had Salga here on the SABC News channel a number of times over the years, talking about the same problems. So have we not been able to identify the problems and the solutions to the problems?
You can, in the one sector, identify the problem, and you need the other spheres of government to assist in dealing with the problem that you have identified. The problem is so enormous in dealing with, and it cannot be the problem of local government. It's a problem of all other spheres of government. And what it has been a problem over a period of time is the inability of using the instruments of law, the cooperative governance framework that compels different spheres of government to cooperatively work together in dealing with the challenges.
But then just a quick one on this one. I'm looking at the Auditor General's report for the municipality for this current financial year. Only 18 municipalities managed to produce quality financial statements. And of these 18, 12 are from the DA-led municipalities. So what is being done wrong here? Is it a matter of politics? Is it a matter of competency? What is the problem?
It's a multiplicity of issues. It's a multiplicity of issues. One of the issue, it will be matters of incompetency, yes. The other issue, it might be the skill shortage that is not in the sector in which there is, in the municipality in which the Auditor General have conducted an audit.
All right, time constraints, I'm afraid, Mr. Stofile. I still have a number of issues that I wanted to speak to you about, but we have to leave it at this. Many thanks there to Bheke Stofile. He's the national chairperson of the South African Local Governments Association's working group on governance, joining us live from our studios in Durban.